Hi everyone, here we will discuss about method local inner class, which is one of the category of non-static nested inner class. Here the inner class is created within a method of an outer class. For example, here outer class is the local inner one, which is having the variable 30. Then I am defining the method display. Method is opening here for the body of the content and closing here, which is closing the body of the content. Inside that I am defining the class which is acting as a inner class for the outer class local inner one, but which is defined inside the method. So this class features are acting as a local variables or local methods to this display method. So the local inner class cannot be a member of any outer class because they belong to a particular method. For example, when we are defining a method like void add, then we are defining the variables integer a, b, c. So these variables are acting as a local variables for this particular method. So these variables cannot access outside the method. Like this, when you are defining the inner class inside the method display, the features of this local class, right, cannot be accessed outside the method display. So access modifier also not applicable for this local inner classes, but they can be marked as a final variables or final methods, abstract methods. The inner class can access the fields including the private variables of outer class fields. Okay, that means the inner class have the accessibility of outer class variables and outer class methods, but outer class cannot access the variables of inner class and out methods of inner class because they belongs to only the particular method which is defined inside that method. The To invoke that methods of the local inner class, we must instantiate the inner class inside the method. That means here, to call this local class methods, you see here we are having the message is a method which is defined inside the local class. This is the inner class for the display method. Okay, so here to instantiate this local class, we have to define inside the method only. So you see, inside the method itself we are creating the object for the class local, then we have to invoke that method inside the display method only, right? So that's what we are saying, to invoke the methods of local inner class. In this example, message is a inner class method. So to invoke this method here, so we have to instantiate that inner class inside the method. So here we are instantiating that object for this class inside the display method itself. That is the meaning of this one. So now we are looking this example here. Outer class is created, local inner one, data is 30, then display method is defined, so which is having the body of the content between these two curly braces. Inside that two curly braces we are defining the inner class local, which is having the body of the content here. Okay, so inside that we are having only the single method. That method is msg, which is having single statement which is getting accessing the value of the outer class. That's what we have seen here. Okay, so inner class can access the fields of outer class including the private. So here private is the variable or field of the outer class which is accessible by the inner class local, right? Then I am instantiating the object for the class local. This is the inner class. Then I am invoking that method inside the display itself. Then it will execute. The control is passing over here by using this method name. Then it will display the value, right? So before that, it should be called, display should be called from the main method. So main method is defined here, object is created for the outer class local inner one. Then we are invoking the method display by using the object which is referencing the local inner one. So immediately the control is passing over here, then inside the display we are having the statements, local statements. Then here each one will execute, then the instantiating the local inner class. So now the message is called, then only control is passing to this method, then this line will execute. You will get the output here as a 30. So 30 is the value of the data which is printed here. Okay, so from this you should observe that local inner class cannot be invoked from outside the method. So here the display is available, you cannot invoke here. From here you cannot call obj.msg, then you will get immediately error from the compiler. When you are calling that method outside the display method, you see we are calling the msg from outside of the display method by using this instance variable and this instance variable, we are getting the error like this during the compilation time. So you cannot invoke the method outside of this, I mean you cannot access the inner class features outside of this method where it is defined. So here another one example is given for the local inner class. Here we are having the two variables, private variables data and x. Here I am having display method which is having inner class which is having these features. Okay, object 2 is defined for inner class local, then I am invoking this method here itself. Then I am defining one more method print. That print is having another inner class right here, then which is having its own method which is having its statement. Here x is accessing by the second inner class by the which is defined inside the print method, then data is accessed in the first inner class local which is defined inside the display method. Then for the print method also, print method having inner local class, for that local inner class I am defining the object variable inside that method print. Okay, then I am calling those methods here object display. This method is outer class method. Okay, that's why we are able to access this. Print also outer class method, right? So we are able to access, but you cannot access this message and hi because these are all belonging to its own methods print and display respectively. So we cannot access that. Then you can get the output here. So the first inner class is having the statement which is accessing the data first private variable, and the second inner class is having its accessibility of x second private variable. So here from here you should observe we can define any number of inner classes inside any number of methods, right? And if you want to define two inner classes inside this method you can do that, that is also possible, right? And these features cannot accessible outside of this method, but outer class features can be accessible by all the methods which are having inner classes. Now another one category is static inner class. Until previous video we have seen non static inner classes. Okay, so now we are going to see static inner classes. What is the difference? Here we will use the static keyword to represent the variable or method. So that is the difference between non-static inner class and static inner class. Okay, and for class also can be represented by using the static keyword. So right, class can be represented by using the static keyword, that is the static inner class. Okay, not a variable and a method. Class is represented by using the static, that's why it is called static inner class. Inner class will be represented by using the static keyword. Okay, not a variable and a method. The non-static inner class also can have static variable and static method. Here the class is represented by using the static keyword. Based on this, we can define the statement the static class is created inside a class that is called static nested class. It can access only static data members and static methods. The static nested class cannot access the non-static data members, that means non-static instance object variables and methods. It can be accessed by outer class name. So here we will see the example that outer class name, right, we can use to access the method. So you see outer 3 is the outer class name, then this is inner class name, then we are accessing the method. So here inner class is represented by using the static, then we are accessing the method. So that's what we are representing here, that can be accessed by using the outer class name. It can access static data members of the outer class, including the private variables or private methods. Other modifiers also we can use for the static inner class, like abstract, final, public, protected, private. So here syntax is given to define the object for object which is defined inside the outer class. So here inside the outer class, simply you can define the inner class name and the object variable. The new is the keyword, already we know that, then inner class name. Suppose if you want to create the instance or object outside the outer class, first you have to create the object for outer class. Okay, first we have to create the object for outer class, then using this outer class object you can create the inner class object, right? So after this you can do like outer class object, right, you can use to create the inner class, right, so object. So here we here we can use new, then here we will use the object variable, right? So that is one of the syntax. Otherwise you can directly use like this: outer class name, then inner class name, then variable name equal to outer class name, new inner class here. Okay, so previously also I have told like I mean I have done mistakes. So here you can create object variable equal to outer class name dot new inner class name. Previously I told like this: new outer class name dot inner class. This is wrong, so this one is the correct one. Okay, so based upon that, the example is given for inner class, static inner class, by using the instance method. That means object variable use we are going to use for the instance method. This is non-static method. Okay, non-static method we are using inside the static inner class. So outer class is defined, then static variable we are defining x equal to 30, static inner class, that's why it is called static inner class. So class is having the keyword static, then method, non-static method is defined here, which is having single statement. Then outer class is here, sorry, inner class is here ended, then main method is defined inside the outer class. So here object variable is created by using the inner class. Okay, outer class dot inner class. Okay, then which is referencing the outer class dot inner class. So here the object variable is used to access the method which is defined inside the inner class. Here when you are executing this code, you will get the output which is displaying here inside the message method, which is non-static. Here we are creating the instance of the static nested class. You look at that, we are creating the instance for the static nested class, that is the inner. Okay, then here why we are using the instance? Because it is a non-static method, that's why we are using the instance or object. But no need to create the object of the outer class, because the nested class is static. But here this object is not needed, because the class is, I mean nested class, inner class is static. That's why no need to create the object variable. Directly we can access that static properties, I mean properties of this static inner class. So whatever defined in this block, okay, inside the inner class variables or methods, that can be accessed directly without creating the object or without using the object variable. So that's what we are going to see in the next slide. Here you see we are uh, using the static method, right? So static method, here you see static method. So here we are using the inner class which is defining its features. Then here outer class is having the variable static variable x equal to 500, then inside that we are having the main method that is also static. Since this is also static and class also static, we can access without creating the object. No need to create the object of the outer class. For the outer class, no need to create the instance. Okay, so that is the thing. So without creating the instance, we can use or we can access the static inner class features directly by using outer class name dot inner class name, then the feature, which feature, method or variable, whichever you want to access, you can access that. Then control will pass over here directly, then it will display the output. Okay, so that's the thing. So here without creating the object, you can invoke the method of static inner class. That is the observation we should keep in mind. Thanks for watching.